Namaste and greetings to all. Let us talk about Sri Sarada Devi, Holy Mother, as the ideal of Indian womanhood, both ancient and modern. I'm sure many of you might have read Sister Nivedita's famous words. She said, "To me, it has always appeared that she, that is Sri Sarada Devi, is Ramakrishna's final word as to the ideal of Indian womanhood. In her, one sees realized that wisdom and sweetness to which the simplest of women may attain. And yet, to myself, the stateliness of her courtesy and her great open mind are almost as wonderful as her sainthood." So here we can see that many ideal qualities are there in Holy Mother Sarada Devi. We are trying to talk about various aspects of her personality by looking at many of her experiences. By looking at these experiences, we can see how she became an ideal of Indian womanhood. Some of the incidents, one by one, let me try to put across. At different times, she was considered as akin to some of the deities whom we worship as the qualities of greatness which are ascribed to women also. Sri Ramakrishna himself gave her the appellation of Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge. So it says, Sharada is Saraswati. She has come hiding her glory, hiding her greatness, but she is the fount of wisdom. Just now in the quotation which we saw, Sister Nivedita also finds that there was great wisdom in her. A famous theorist, a very famous theorist known all over the world today is Gayatri Spivak. She also speaks about this ideal woman in Holy Mother Sarada Devi. She says, she performed her role with tact and wisdom, always remaining in the background. This is what Sri Ramakrishna also said, that she has hidden her glory, she has hidden her brilliance, because she's actually Mother Saraswati, Goddess Saraswati. Many people considered her to be Mother Kali. They had vision of Holy Mother as Mother Kali. We can take her protective stance towards Sister Nivedita herself. Nivedita was a foreigner coming to India at that time in the later, the last decade of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century. This was a time when a fair-skinned person was looked at suspiciously because we were a colonized nation. So Sister Nivedita coming with her bright, fair skin was considered as an outsider. It is the mother's protection, it is the mother's help that made her settle down in this country. She would have been driven away otherwise, but the mother gave her the protection. We have so many incidents, so many stories of the mother giving protection, the mother giving acceptance. The mother went to her school, Nivedita school, what is today, and she said that every person studying in this school will have a great future. This was a blessing which Sister Nivedita thought was the greatest blessing for her. She ate with Sister Nivedita in order to remove the superstition that we cannot eat with people who do not belong to our religion or our caste or our community. This she wanted to destroy. This was the way in which she protected. She allowed Sister Nivedita to come and visit her whenever she wanted. She never kept a distance. So you can see how protective she is. This instance of protection, she was often called as Shakti. Sri Ramakrishna himself said that she is my Shakti. Now, how did Sri Ramakrishna find out the ideal woman in Sarada Devi? When young Sarada, in her teen age, came to Dakshineshwar to meet her husband, whom she had married when she was a small baby. When she came to Dakshineshwar, she was around 18 years old, and she had come to take care of her husband because people said that Sri Ramakrishna has become mad. So she took up the job. She said, if my husband has a problem, I have to be next to him and look after him. She was not making demands on him. She was sacrificing herself for him. This is the quality of an ideal woman. Then you find that, when Sri Ramakrishna asks her that, do you really want a worldly life? She says, no, I want to help you in your spiritual progress. Very few people have this attitude to marriage, to the relationship, which is supposed to be the most sacred and closest relationship. This young girl, just, in her teen years, saying that I want to help you in your spiritual progress. This is ideal. Now, many ideal women have been identified from our ancient culture. Indian women did not need empowerment at that time because they were already the repositories of power. They were the people from whom power emanated. We have the women in the Vedas and Upanishads. We have those people who were powerful in their presence, intellectual, social, and spiritual. Swami Vivekananda again and again mentions the names of Gargi and Maitreyi. Such women, easily we can see Holy Mother Sarada Devi living up to that ideal. Swami Vivekananda says that the mother will be the nucleus around which many Gargis and Maitreyis will develop. So the mother is the ideal, the mother is the model. And today, the women of today will develop in this ideal, and that is become like Gargi and Maitreyi. So what do we find? Maitreyi says, I don't want these transitory things. I want something which is permanent. Because when her renunciate husband says, I'm dividing my property between the two of you, she says, I don't want your property. Give me that knowledge which will be permanent, which will not be destroyed. So you can imagine how significant this idea is. The mother was also like that. A Marwadi person came to give Sri Ramakrishna a huge donation. Sri Ramakrishna could not touch money. So he says, no, I cannot accept your money. Then says, I want to give it. What should I do? The master said, okay, go to Nahbat. Sri Sarada Devi is there. You can ask her. So the Marwadi went with all his money and asked Mother Sarada. Now, what would an ordinary woman do? She would say, okay, yes, please give me the money. I can use it, for myself or for my husband or for the devotees, anybody. Mother Sarada, a young girl again, said, no, If I take the money which he has refused, then it will be as though I am using the money which he doesn't want for his benefit. I don't want that money. Therefore, I cannot accept your money. I do not want to take something which Sri Ramakrishna has refused. So you can see how she is the ideal of Maitri, Gargi, always able to give many, you know, ideas, many spiritual discussions, debates she could participate in. She could defeat people with her reasoning, with her wisdom. And just now we heard Sister Nivedita saying that her wisdom was so balanced, her wisdom was so gentle, so accurate. We heard Gayatri Spivak saying that she never put herself forward. She was always in the background, but she fulfilled her role as the Sangha Janani, as the Mata of this order. So you can see the ideal woman in her in these two models, Garge and Maitri. Then we always think that Sita is the most important woman character, an ideal woman in our Itihasa literature. All the other women are important, but Sita is the epitome of all these people. Holy Mother Sarada Devi represented those great qualities of Sita, the quality of sacrifice. Sita went to the forest because Rama was going. She didn't want to enjoy living in the palace when Rama was in the forest. Holy Mother Sarada Devi was given a beautiful house next to the temple. The house was a little far away. She could not live in that house because she preferred to live in that small Nahabat room, which was so uncomfortable. It was like exile. But she says, no, I can be close to my husband. I can look after my master. She never privileged by saying that he is mine. I should be privileged. She never did that. Always sacrificing. Suffering with silence. Sita is a symbol of suffering with silence, but courageously. We find the mothers, throughout her life, whatever suffering she had, she suffered silently and courageously. This is the model of Sita, but very decisive. Many people think that Sita was not allowed to make decisions. This is not true. If we read Ramayana, we know. The mother never put herself forward, but she was extremely decisive. She could make the right decisions at the right time. So she fulfilled that ideal. Then we also have another ancient ideal, and that is Savitri. You remember the story of Savitri, how she courageously got back her husband from Yama, who was taking away Satyavan because he had died. Her arguments were so cogent, her behavior was so courageous, that immediately Yama was forced to return, which never happens in real life. Death is something which is irreversible, but here it was not so. So the ideal of courage, the ideal of the ability to be committed to your goal, these are what Savitri teaches. And we find them in the life of Sri Sarada Devi throughout. So when we say that she's the ideal of ancient India, we find so many examples in our goddesses, in our real characters, in our ancient Indian characters, as the ideal of ancient India. Now, the question is, what about modernity? 21st century women, can they take Sarada Devi as an ideal? Yes, because today what we require is adaptability. I'm mentioning a few qualities which we can use today. Intelligence, courage, sacrifice, all those are mentioned already. I'm not going to repeat those, but adaptability. the ability to adjust. Wherever the mother lived, she could adjust there. In Jairam Bati, she said she was like a free bird. She used to say, I'm like a free bird because it is my parents' village. But for many years, she lived in that small room. It was called the Nahabat. It was only a music hall. And she would live there. Same room, she would sleep, she would cook, she would sit, she would entertain guests. She would do everything in that small room. It might be a, 100 part of the house which we live in today. So the mother could adapt there. After Sri Ramakrishna's passing away, she lived in Kamarpukur also. These were very difficult times, but she adjusted. She loved the Ganga. She said, in Kamarpukur, there is no Ganga. How will I bathe? Suddenly, one day, she saw a stream flowing, from the feet of Sri Ramakrishna, full of flowers. She, put flowers there. And this stream was like the Ganga for her. So she said, no, I need not search for Ganga because Ganga has come here. Then we have, a house was built for her in Kolkata. Before that, she stayed in devotees' houses. There also she adjusted. And then Udbodhan House, Mayer Badi it is called, Mother's House. If you visit Kolkata, you can see it so beautiful. This was built by Swami Sharadanandaji. And she came and stayed there with all her relatives and everybody, all the devotees, she would stay there. Downstairs, the monks also used to stay. She was completely adjustable, adaptable. And she would teach everybody that they should also adapt themselves. She never allowed people to behave as they want, whenever they want, without adjusting, without adapting, without accepting change. Today, we find that many people don't want to do this. There is a change in life. They don't want to adjust or adapt. They want to continue in the old ways. Many elderly people do that. They say, oh, we follow only this method. We don't change. The new method might be a better method. We find so many advertisements, where the family members, the elder generation says, I cannot accept this. The younger generation proves that no, this change is good. The mother was like that. She used to teach the lesson of adaptability to everybody. When some elderly women would come with their young daughters and say, they don't listen to us, they behave like this, the mother said, give them a little freedom. Don't be so strict. They are young, so don't be like that. So she was teaching adjusting adaptability. To the young girls, she would teach adjustment adaptability. She said, don't love people who give you something in return. Give unconditional love. This she taught to a little girl. And therefore, she was teaching adaptability, adjustment. Then we have positivity. Many times I must have mentioned, or others might have mentioned, the mother says, make the world your own. Today, what are we doing? Look everywhere. We are fragmenting the world. We are creating enemies in the world, not making them our own, but pushing them away from ourselves, saying, please go, please don't come near me. Individuals, groups, families, communities, the entire society or religious denominations all hate each other. Now the mother, what does the mother say? Says, make them your own. So if you are different from me, every human being is different from everybody else. I should appreciate your difference, not look for similarities. That is what the mother is saying. Make the world your own. Make the world your own implies appreciate the differences in others. Suppose you believe something which I don't believe. You follow some process which I don't follow. You look like something which I don't look like. I should appreciate these differences. I should say, oh, I believe in this, you believe in that. That is wonderful. We can make a team and all of us can be together by merging our beliefs, by following each other and also sharing with each other. This is the kind of positivity she gives. One example is there of her positivity. When we sweep the house, we use a broom. Then somebody was throwing the broom in the corner. The mother said, "Don't be disrespectful to the broom. The broom is also a family member, an important family member, because the broom keeps the house clean. So show some respect to the broom." We don't do that, because if we show respect to the broom, then we are showing respect of positivity. We are not saying broom is cleaning the dirt, so the broom is dirty. Like that, we had social hierarchy. These people are doing higher work, so they are very high. These people are doing lower work, so very low. That is not there at all. The mother says, devotees do not have a caste. So if you think you are higher caste, if you think you are lower caste, that means you don't believe in God. If you start believing in God, then there is no high and low. All of you are equal. The so-called higher caste and the so-called lower caste are the same caste when they become devotees of God. So you can see how positivity comes in every word, every action of the mother. I can give you hundreds of examples of positivity, but then one is enough, because I'm sure every one of us would like to read the mother's life, read them again and again, so that we can transfer those into our own lives, our own minds, and, make the life richer, make the world a more healthy place to live in. The mother said moderation. These days, many places, they are searching for happiness courses. Happiness is a powerful course. Now, what is this happiness course? Are we going to remove sorrow and completely take happiness? The mother does not say that. She says moderation. Sometimes you have to be serious. Sometimes you have to be jovial. Sometimes you have to suffer. Sometimes you have to enjoy. If you have happiness, you must also accept pain and suffering. If you have tears, then you have smiles. If you have a failure, only then you can reach success. So moderation. Moderation is building a bridge between these two opposites. We think they are two opposites, they are on two sides. But what mother is saying is build a bridge so that they become connected. Happiness coming out of sorrow. Real happiness is where you have experienced sorrow and you have recycled sorrow. By recycling the waste, we are making energy. We are making so many products. So if we recycle our pain, we are getting happiness. We are getting joy and peace. The mother herself was sometimes very serious. She would look serious and she would talk in a manner which was very serious. When she was giving initiation, people said that she looked so serious. People who took initiation from her described in great detail how she was. When she gave instructions, she was so serious. Sometimes she was like a small child, a young girl, laughing loudly. Her tinkling laughter could be heard everywhere. She would enjoy. Therefore, she had the ability to be moderate. She had the ability to choose both the, sorrow and joy, or laughter and tears, and put them together in such a way that it became a total balance. There was a bridge between these two, which, of course, today we need to learn. Because some people are all the time saying, I'm depressed, I'm depressed, I'm depressed. Some others are so frivolous. If you tell them a very serious thing, they will laugh and they say, ha, ha, ha. That's so funny because they are not eager to change their jovial laughter or ridiculous temperament. These things we have to take carefully. So the ideal of the modern woman, so many things are there which we can learn in the modern woman. Then, of course, we have what is called very practical aspect of the mother. The mother was a spiritual person, but then it is not only spirituality being impractical, you close your eyes and you only pray, you don't do anything. That is not spirituality. Spirituality implies being really practical. Sri Ramakrishna taught the mother that when you're getting into the boat, get in first and take your luggage later. When you are getting out, get out and then take the luggage. In this way, he used to give her so many instructions, which are not only spiritual instructions, but also practical instructions. So the mother was always very practical. People might have thought, as I mentioned just in the beginning, that Sarada Devi would take hold of the master by saying, the master belongs to me. In groups, always it is like that. You have a leader and everybody wants to claim the leader. The leader is mine, the leader is mine, and so on. This kind of, which is called as privileging. This kind of privileging the mother never did. Sri Ramakrishna was her married husband, but she never said he was so. She said, he's my guru, he's my teacher, he's my master. Sometimes she would treat him as a little child and coax him to eat, sometimes as the spiritual precept. So she never said that he belongs to me, he is my exclusive property. Very often months would go, she was living only, in the next room, but she would not get to see him at all because he was busy in that room, she was busy here, they would never meet. Did she feel upset? She was very practical. She said, yes, there is, if I have work, I meet him. If I don't have the need, not necessary. So it is all need-based. If it is necessary, then certainly we can go. We have also to, remember that we have to be extremely careful in order to become practical. How to be practical. The mother teaches us through various examples how to be practical. Even while giving initiation, somebody comes and says, Mother, I don't have anything. I came for initiation, but I don't have anything to give you. She would say, you go around the village in Jairambati, look for a few flowers and come and give me those flowers. Or she would pick up some donation and say, here is 1 coin. You keep this coin and give it to me. In this way, she had a solution, a practical solution for any difficulty which people faced in life. She would always give practical solutions. There were so many conflicts in her family. The family was always in conflict. She lived within that conflict. Always she gave a solution to them, which was a practical problem solving. Today, whenever a problem comes, we might just throw up our hands and say, oh, we can't do this. But from the mother, we can learn how it is to be practical. Then we have also very self-effacing, the quote of Gayatri Spivak, which I read out, where she said that she always stayed in the background. So mother was very self-effacing. She would cover her face up to here with a veil. People could not see her except in Jairambati when she was there. When she was in Kolkata, she was fully veiled. So self-effacing. She did not say, I want to meet people, I want to become popular, which we are doing in social media. Anybody who has no work wants to become popular. We want to thrust ourselves and become popular. So the mother was self-effacing. This self-effacing nature is very, very significant for an ideal modern woman today. Because the more we try to publicize our image, the worse it is. We should know within the limits how much we can do, and beyond that, we should not go. For instance, we have the Panihati festival example I can give you, that Sri Ramakrishna was going with all the disciples to attend the famous Vaishnava festival in Panihati. Many women disciples were going. So they said, can we not take mother and go? Sri Ramakrishna did not say yes. He said, ask her if she wants to go. Now look at mother's self-effacing nature. She was a young girl. She might have also wanted to go to enjoy herself. Then when the women came and said, mother, you also come with us, said, what did the master say? The master said that ask her. She knew, she did not want to go out in front of everybody. So she said, no, this time I think I will not go. Later, the master came and praised her, said, I'm really happy you did not go, because there were many, many people there. Seeing both of us together, they might have made some vulgar comments. So I'm happy you did not go. So you can see how self-effacing she is. She lived for many years in Dakshineshwar temple. The temple priests and the temple officers used to say, we have heard that she's there. We have never seen her. So she was like that. She was withdrawing into the background. She did various decisions for Ramakrishna Mutt, but nowhere will you find that, she is putting herself forward. She would say, if you want, if you think it is right, do you think this is what you can do? She would only give suggestions. She would never give orders. See how much we are doing, which is, for a modern woman, which is sometimes very wrong. Can we not change all this? Can we not take the ancient ideals, the modern ideals, see it in the examples of Holy Mother's life, and then come to the conclusion that we have many lessons to learn from the Holy Mother. It will not give us a degree, it will not give us a certificate, but it will make us lead a happier life, a better life, more contented, more peaceful. That is what we need to do. So ideal woman, both ancient and modern, found in the life of Holy Mother Sarada Devi from her own experiences. Thank you and namaste.